Welcome to Horror Story. Let's start the story, Elma. A young girl with a fascination for horror and the supernatural lounges on her couch, her mind wandering through tales of haunted places. She's particularly drawn to graveyards, intrigued by their eerie atmosphere. Suddenly, an idea strikes her. Why not visit a graveyard tonight? She thinks, excitement bubbling up inside her. Without hesitation, Elma grabs a flashlight and heads out into the quiet night. The street is enveloped in complete silence, adding an extra layer of tension to her adventure. She walks briskly, her footsteps echoing in the stillness, until she reaches the entrance of the graveyard. The gate of the graveyard creaks as Elma pushes it open. Her heart races with a mix of fear and exhilaration as she steps inside. The graveyard is cloaked in shadows, and the only light comes from her flashlight cutting through the darkness. Elma walks a few steps and notices an open grave nearby. The sight of bones scattered inside makes her shiver. Must be some animal, she thinks, trying to brush off the creeping unease. As she continues walking, she starts to feel as though someone is following her. She glances over her shoulder but sees nothing. The silence of the graveyard is oppressive, and her sense of unease grows. Determined to visit her grandpa's grave, Elma pushes forward. As she approaches the old gravestone, she begins to hear disembodied voices murmuring in the dark and sees shadowy figures flitting around her. Her heart pounds harder. Suddenly, Elma feels a cold hand on her shoulder. Panic surges through her, and she starts running through the graveyard, her flashlight swinging wildly. In her haste, she trips over a grave's edge and falls, landing hard on the ground. The impact causes her flashlight to go out. In the pitch darkness, Elma scrambles to her feet, desperately trying to find her way out. She fumbles with her flashlight, her hands trembling. After what feels like an eternity, the flashlight flickers back on, casting an unsteady beam of light around her. Elma looks around, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The graveyard seems to stretch endlessly in the darkness. She glances at her watch and realizes with dread how late it has become. Determined to escape, Elma follows the dim light of her flashlight, her fear driving her faster. She navigates through the maze of graves, the disembodied voices fading as she moves closer to the gate. Finally, she bursts through the gate, slamming it shut behind her, and stands outside, panting and wide-eyed. The graveyard looms behind her, still and silent once more. Elma looks at her watch again, grateful to have made it out before something worse could happen. As she heads back home, she vows never to return to the graveyard at night again.
Jamie had always preferred the quiet of the night, so when the chance to work the overnight shift at Walmart came up, they jumped at it. The extra cash was a bonus, and the stillness of the store seemed oddly comforting compared to the chaos of daytime crowds. Their first night started out uneventfully. The store was a cavernous expanse of gleaming linoleum and towering shelves, bathed in the sterile glow of fluorescent lights. Jamie took inventory, restocked shelves, and swept the aisles. It was monotonous but peaceful, at least until they heard the first odd sound. It started with the faintest rustling. Jamie dismissed it as the store settling into its nightly quiet. But the rustling grew louder, evolving into an unsettling shuffle. When Jamie checked the security footage on the monitor in the back room, they saw nothing but empty aisles and static. Days turned into weeks, and the strangeness continued. Jamie's initial excitement had faded into a gnawing unease. Items began to shift on shelves without explanation, and lights flickered sporadically. The worst part was the whispering, soft, almost imperceptible murmurs that seemed to drift from one end of the store to the other. One night, as Jamie was restocking the electronics aisle, the overhead lights went out, plunging the store into darkness. Panic surged through Jamie's chest as they fumbled for their flashlight. The beam revealed nothing but empty aisles and an oppressive silence. When the lights flickered back on, Jamie noticed something unsettling. The store's layout had changed. Aisles that should have been familiar were now different, as if the store had reshuffled itself. Jamie stumbled through the maze-like aisles, their flashlight beams slicing through the darkness. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They came across an old rusted door at the back of the store that Jamie had never seen before. Curiosity overcame their fear, and they pushed the door open. The room beyond was a forgotten storage area, cluttered with obsolete merchandise and dust-covered boxes. In the dim light of Jamie's flashlight, they spotted an old journal wedged between two crates. The leather cover was cracked and worn. Jamie carefully opened it, revealing pages filled with scrawled handwriting, detailing eerie events that had taken place in the store decades ago. The last entry spoke of a cursed presence that trapped souls within the store, bound to its endless aisles. A chill ran down Jamie's spine. The whispers grew louder, morphing into desperate cries and frantic pleas. The store seemed to close in around them, the walls stretching and warping as if the building itself was alive. Shadows flitted just beyond the reach of Jamie's flashlight, and ghostly figures of past employees drifted through the aisles. Panic surged as Jamie realized the store was no longer a normal place, but a twisted maze of spectral torment. They tried to find their way out, but the aisles kept shifting, leading them deeper into the nightmarish labyrinth. The shadows seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, their movements synchronized with Jamie's increasing terror. Just as Jamie felt they could no longer bear the oppressive dread, they stumbled upon the front entrance. They burst through the doors into the cold, early morning air, gasping for breath. The store was eerily calm in the daylight, the night's horrors seemingly erased. Jamie reported the incidents to the store manager, but their concerns were dismissed as stress-induced hallucinations. The manager reassured Jamie that the store was fine, and after a tense few days, Jamie's request to leave the overnight shift was granted. The story seemed to end there, but Jamie couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. They avoided the store after their last shift, their nights haunted by the memories of the shifting aisles and the ghostly whispers. Months later, a new employee named Emily started the overnight shift. As she walked through the dimly lit store, she noticed the same rusted door Jamie had discovered. Curious, she pushed it open, stepping into the forgotten storage area. The cycle was about to begin again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel